What's going on, everybody? Excited for another course here on this Vacation Business School. So excited to be with you today. And it is an absolute pleasure for me to spend a little bit of time with who has been a colleague of mine. She lives in the beautiful land of Jamaica, Dr. Heather Dawn Lawson-Myers. And I like to say all four names because I have learned, as I have worked with her the last couple of years, the tradition of that, the importance of that. So she's going to share some great content around the dental assistant being the glue in the practice. But the most important thing was we got the name right. So, but for the sake of our conversation, I'm just going to say, Heather, how's it going?
All is well. All the better for seeing you. As usual, you have that fantastic smile. So that just sets the tone, right?
Well, it is great to have you. And before we delve into why you feel like the dental assistant is such a, this glue in the dental practice, I would love to have you share with everybody just a little bit about yourself.
Oh, sure. I'd be happy to. I've been practicing dentistry for about 34 years. I started as a kid, right? And I've had a wonderful experience training dental assistants and serving patients over the years. I began my training at Howard University in Washington, D.C., and I've been practicing in Kingston, Jamaica for the past, I would say 30 years. And not once have I ever awakened to go to work and felt, I don't want to go. So I love what I do, because I love caring for people. I love teaching and sharing and mentoring. And all of that is done on a daily basis in my world.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's why we are so excited to have you. Not only the experience that you've had running a practice, caring for patients, but you have now evolved into this new journey of your career where you're putting together educational content for dental assistants and continuing to give back to the profession that I know that you love so much. Can you just talk a little bit about that? This drive to want to create some content around the importance of the dental assistant. I think it'll really kind of help build a bridge for what we're going to discuss today.
So, you get to a point in life where you realize it's not about you. It's about what you can impart and leave behind. And so I've always been a natural teacher. I love to share information. And in Jamaica, in 2020, we focused quite a bit on the tourism industry, and things went belly up. And a lot of restaurants, etc., closed down. And I had this great idea to create a learning platform for anybody who might have an interest in learning dental assisting. Now, we know that there's a lot of training on the job, but wouldn't it be wonderful if there was somebody to support this learning process while you're doing what you're doing during the day? Someone could get some further information in the evenings at their own pace, so that at the end of the day, the doctor feels well served. He doesn't feel that his patients are shortchanged. Mary, who has to do the training as well as provide distinctive care for the patients, gets a little breather because she's getting help, though it be virtual. And at the end of the day, it's a win-win. And I must tell you that it has been such a welcomed experience for so many people who were like, I don't know what to do next. They didn't have to stop what they were doing during the day, but they were able to start growing in the evenings. I've had many dentists asking me, do you have anybody available? Because, there is a shortage of dental assistants at this time. So it's really been a wonderful experience for me.
Yeah, and I know when we talk about Front Office Rocks and the community that Laura and her team have built, it really is about training is at the core and ensuring that everybody in the practice in some form or fashion is trained. And I'm sure you're going to get into this as well, Heather. And everybody understands what everybody else does, because certainly it's important everybody stays in their own lane in a dental practice for the things that their skill set has them there for. But to make a practice really work well and efficient and like an orchestra, it does take everybody at least knowing and understanding what everybody else in the practice does. And in my short stint, I certainly haven't had the years that you've had in a dental practice, but in my short stint of working with doctors and dental practices, there was one takeaway I always learned from the practices that were very successful. And they would say to me that the dental assistant was essentially like the air traffic controller, meaning that when you had a dental assistant in the practice that was organizing everybody and, okay, doctor, we have this procedure in this room and now you're over here and now you're over here, almost kind of, directing all that traffic, it really helps a practice move forward. So with that, I wanted to get started and ask you, what is the dental assistant typically responsible for outside of assisting?
Oh, that is such a great question. I look at it as a threefold responsibility. First of all, that dental assistant sitting beside the patient who is a little anxious, who is not sure, has the opportunity to reassure, to comfort. When you go through something challenging with somebody, you build relationship. So the dental assistant is key to building relationships with our patients. Secondly, it's not just about the person passing the instruments to me, but it is my extended hand, my extended mind as my dental assistant, who literally is anticipating before I start what I need, what the next steps are, who makes my life so much easier, therefore making me more productive. And thirdly, that dental assistant actually begins sharing about what the patient's needs are, what the next steps are in the clinical area. So by the time there's a transition to the front desk, the patient's wheels are turning. They're already anticipating, okay, this is what I need. So the tag team person at the front just now needs to explain how it can be done. Because when we are sharing what we need our patients to do, the process doesn't begin at the front desk. It starts from the clinical area. So that dental assistant is the one that creates that smooth transition to the business office as well. So those are the three main areas that I see dental assistants just doing so great in.
So this morning, timely enough, I took both of my little ones to get their teeth cleaned. And I was always observing when I'm in a dental practice, more so maybe than others, just because of the nature of being in the business. But I was watching the dental assistants, like always, running around. And there are the responsibilities that they focus on a daily basis. And then there are, as you know, Heather, in some cases, other things that they are asked to do or what have you. But from your perspective, where should the dental assistant's responsibilities be focused? Scheduling, reviews, can you touch on that?
So in an ideal team, there's cross-training. That means that the dental assistants not only understand the clinical aspects of the office, but they should have some basic information as to how to run things in the front office. Likewise, our business assistants should have some idea about the dentistry and how the clinical area is run so that there can be crossover. So that question can be, that dental assistant should know as much about the front office that if someone is missing, they can slide right in. Or you may be thinking in terms of a dental assistant working in a specialty office and therefore understanding the uniqueness of what is needed in that specialty. So I say sky is the limit for dental assisting and what you expect the assistant to be able to do. You have to look at the individual and their strengths and play into those strengths. In my office, there is a young lady, she is the office clown. When we have kids coming in, we know, boom, she's the one who is going to meet them at the door, because sometimes they're so scared that by the time she's got them in the operatory, prepared them, and I come in, oh my gosh,
Yes.
My job is easy. So understanding people's strengths and allowing them. Are there some people who are more organized than others? Those persons may be responsible for inventory and they may do a great job of ensuring that nothing is run out. So the team has to know each other well. And John C. Maxwell says, do not take a duck to Eagle School. That means knowing people's strengths and weaknesses. Don't push somebody beyond where they are capable of going. And in the same time, if you have an eagle, don't keep them stuck doing basic things when they have the potential and the desire to do so much more. So to answer that question, you really have to look at the individual.
I love that. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is the partnership between the dentist and the dental assistant. If we were to actually log the amount of minutes during a week, Heather, in a dental practice, where the dental assistant is having the conversation with the patient versus the dentist having the conversation with the patient. I can't say this for certain, but I have a feeling that the amount of minutes that the dental assistant is talking to the patient is a lot more than the dentist. And not only that, but I'm envisioning a world where patient is in the chair, dental assistant's there, doctor's there, doctor gets up to go to the other operatory, and after maybe presenting the treatment, and the first thing the patient says is look at the dental assistant, says, do you think I should do this? So can you talk about just the importance of that partnership between the dentist and the dental assistant?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, in some offices, the dental assistant will meet the patient in the waiting area, in the reception area, and escort them to the treatment room. So that the bonding begins there when they introduce themselves and they walk the patient to the treatment room. And as they're getting the patient prepared for the doctor, maybe taking vitals, seating them, it is so relational that many times you'll hear the dental assistant say, so how did that basketball game go? Did your grandson win? Or when is your daughter getting married again? It's very relational. And that is so key to making people feel relaxed at home. And I'm not kidding myself. While I do good dentistry, nobody really cares about the line angles and how well, of course, you want the aesthetics to look good, but
Yeah.
it's more important about how people are made to feel. You as a parent observing what was happening in the dental office, if those dental assistants had your kids feeling lighthearted and bubbly, it's such a great experience for you. So it is indirectly saying to you, it's okay, come on in. And by the way, bring any friend that you're interested in, bring your mom, bring your pop. The truth is there are many times when we as dentists, we're sharing with our patients and they're listening. But sometimes, when you're anxious, you hear words, but it really sounds like wah, 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 wah. When I exit, the dental assistant is saying, what did she say? I didn't understand a word she said. Can you tell me what she was saying? And so now the dental assistant has the opportunity to share in a more relaxed environment. So I say the dental assistant is the glue. That person gets the patients relaxed. That person can allay any fears. That person they feel like they're the right hand in the dental office because they're often rubbing a shoulder and soothing. And it just allows me to go in as a dentist and do what I do because I know that that rock star is doing what she needs to do to make the patient feel comfortable, relaxed, and ready to go.
So that is such a great segue into this next thought, and that is that outside of clinical education that the dental assistants, like all of the clinicians in the practice, are doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and all of that, or what have you, what other training is important, is crucial? Hearing you share how important this communication is between the dental assistant and the patient, I think to myself, Heather, a lot of hours, rightfully so, that is spent, by the dentist, going to training, learning how to, being a better communicator and things like that. Shouldn't that be the same for the dental assistant? So can you touch on that? Like, what are some additional training and education that is important for the dental assistant outside of what they have to do clinically?
So again, that has to do with individual offices and their approach to dentistry. But in most progressive offices, every staff member stays on the grow. In today's world, in addition to going to continuing education courses, in addition to taking online courses, you can find podcasts, you can find webinars. There's so many ways that we can evolve and become. And while we're speaking about dental assistants, it's really for everybody in the dental office to stay on the grow. So we can look at understanding and improving our clinical skills, but we can also look at understanding and improving who we are, understanding ourselves, what our strengths and weaknesses are, and also understanding relational intelligence. Who are we working with? And what are their strengths? How can we overcome their challenges? And also, what do we need to do to hone in to ensure that we have the skills to share the wonderful products that our office provides, whether it's Invisalign or cosmetic dentistry or airway issues, TMJ. How can we package that so it doesn't sound salesy, but so that our patients feel, wow, you're offering all these services to us and you'll help us find ways to afford it and show us how we can be efficient with time to get it. These are all skills that everybody in the office needs, but particularly if dental assistants stay on that growth trajectory, everybody benefits. So there's no limit. There are courses that you can pay for. There are courses that you can get free. There are podcasts all over. I know that Front Desk Rocks offers a wonderful course on customer service because, as I said before, how people are made to feel, that's what keeps them coming back. And yes, you have to have great dentistry, but people are relational. So sky is the limit as far as educating our dental assistants.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting when you talk about Front Office Rocks and I think about the vision for Laura when she started this company and the training. Like I have heard her say so many times when she's presented that, and you said it earlier, it's the little things that the patient remembers when they leave the practice. They're more than likely not going to sit down that evening with friends and family and open their mouth and show, hey, look at this great margin that was done on my teeth or what have you. But like you said, they are going to talk about how they felt connected to the dental assistant or connected to, the team member up front that, signed them out or was pleasant when they came in. So I'm glad that you mentioned that continuing education for the dental assistant outside the clinical piece of it. And I know that's been, such a big thing for Front Office Rocks over the years. So thanks for talking about that. All right, so we've talked about some of the communication piece, some of the training. Let's talk about the efficiency part of the dental assistant. We talked about the importance of them keeping things on track in a busy dental practice. How about checklists? What are your thoughts and beliefs in regards to checklists for a dental assistant?
Imperative. We can't remember everything. And if your dental office is anything like my dental office, it is perpetually busy. And so if you don't have little ways of organizing yourself, you do your setup. Do you have a quick check to make sure that everything you need is on the tray? Because the worst thing in the world is a patient standing there with their mouth open. And okay, just 1 minute, I have to run and get, no. Or it may be a checklist at the end of the day to make sure that all the things that are required of that office at the end of the day are completed. Because the worst thing in the world is to come in the morning and realize somebody forgot to turn on the autoclave last night. We don't have any sterilized instruments. So everybody's checklist may not look the same, meaning some may choose to put them in their phone, some may have something written on paper. Whatever it is that you need to do to keep yourself organized, that's what I'm recommending. And guess what? The more organized you are, the more supportive you are to the team. The more supportive you are to the team and to the doctor, the more valuable you are to everyone. That's ultimately the win, right?
Yep. All right. Well, we are framing out in a great way just how valuable the dental assistant is in the dental practice. And you're using the term glue, which I love. Now let's talk about getting these individuals into the practice, and more importantly, the hiring of a dental assistant. And what are some of the things that you look for when you are looking to hire a dental assistant?
Okay, well, my online course is called Dental Assisting Made Easy, or DAME for short. And one of the first modules that I have is the art of the interview. This actually starts way before you physically walk into any building. It starts from your Facebook page, your IG feed, your TikTok, your LinkedIn, because guess what? Everybody ought to be a detective these days before you decide on anybody. I want to see who you are. What do you look like? What is your name at sexykitten.com or what? Because regardless of what you tell me, I need to be able to see who you are.
Yep.
How do you carry yourself? I tell people that if you're going for the interview, arrive early, not on time. Because if you're on time, you're late. Carry an extra top or something in your purse so that if you arrived and you've been sweaty or so, you can go to the bathroom and freshen up. I say to my dental assistants, practice beforehand. So when you go into that interview, you feel confident that you can answer questions. Wear clothes that are appropriate to stand up in and sit down in, because the last thing you want is to be physically uncomfortable in an interview. I'm looking for somebody who has looked at my website, understands the culture of my office, and is coming to ask me questions based on their research and letting me know that this person is truly interested in not getting a job, but becoming a member of a team and embracing the culture that they see exuding from the things that we've done, the things that we post, just being in that place where you look good to me as the possible employer.
Yep. All right. And along those lines, let's talk about what makes a dental assistant irreplaceable. And I've seen this. I have seen practices. I'm curious on your thoughts on this, where there have been dental assistants that the dentist relied on them so heavily that even if there became some sort of culture issues within the practice, it could be challenging for that dentist to get rid of that dental assistant because they've relied on them so much. That's not the path that I want to go down. I want to go down the path of more of a positive path where we're talking about a dental assistant that is not only valuable to the dentist, but as you talked about, Heather, fits within the culture of the practice and works together with everybody. But from your perspective, what makes a dental assistant irreplaceable?
I am chuckling because I have a podcast called The Irreplaceable Dental Assistant. I don't know if you had that in mind or not, but I'm just letting you know. So you are asking me the right question.
I did my research, Heather. You said prepare, right? So I wanted to, I wanted to do my research.
So everybody's on the same playing field if you can basically learn to set up and to pass instruments. But what makes somebody irreplaceable is the uniqueness that you bring to the office. Your ability to be the one who can smooth things down when everybody's irritated. Or maybe your ability to be really organized so everybody knows, oh, go to her. Or maybe being the one that the doctor says, oh my gosh, You know, some of my colleagues wear loops. If the loops are forgotten, oh, they can't work. You should feel that if your doctor knows that you're not going to be there, that you're going to be missed. And that's the value added that you bring. Those are the soft skills, your ability to speak to a patient who is anxious and to get them to calm down. Your ability to be the clown so that when kids come in, everybody looks in your direction. Your uniqueness. And that comes from understanding who you are and what you bring to the table and being comfortable enough to be able to say, hey guys, this is something that I'd love to do. And a lot of times we tend to not realize our strengths because you see, when things come easy, you don't even think of the importance of it until everybody's looking around saying, whoa, how do you do that? And then you begin to say, well, I guess I have some skills. So it's really understanding who you are, really evaluating what's happening in an office and deciding how am I going to add value, and do it on a regular basis. Do it so that when you're missed because you've not been there for a day and you come back, people say, oh my God, I'm so glad you're back. Giving your full 100, John, that's how you can become irreplaceable.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. So in closing here, I want to talk to you a little bit about the communication within the dental practice, open discussion, and then I'm gonna present it like this. As I shared, I was actually at my kid's dentist today, and I think sometimes, Heather, that for those that work in a dental practice, it's your world, it's your lane. You can tend to forget that in that practice, based on the size of it, like how open it is and how, you know, there's people moving in and out, patients moving in and out, and how you can hear so many different things in the practice. And I think, I can't say this for certain, I'm curious from your perspective, that I think when you work in a practice every day for years on end, you can tend to forget about that, right? Because you're in your lane, you're doing your job. But when I was in the practice this morning, it just always reminds me when I go into a dental practice of just how open it is and how the conversations can be heard one operatory to the next to the next. So I ask this because I wanted to get your thoughts on the dentist or anybody in the practice, dental assistants, you know, that if something doesn't go right or there's stress, or which there can tend to be in a dental practice, how to communicate properly to make sure that you're not belittling them. You're not saying things that people can overhear. You're not those types of things. I walked into the practice this morning and there was a young child that was crying very heavily in the back. And my daughter, like, she was already nervous to go, but that was the very first thing that she heard. And she was like, am I going to be okay? And I was like, man, of all days for this child to be crying, it had to be when I was there with my daughter. But let's flip that over to the team in the practice and the communication protocol that you want to have as a dentist with your dental assistant so that it's positive because everybody can hear things.
All right, let me break it down into a couple of things. First of all, communication is key. Message sent isn't always message received. So we have to make sure that when we're speaking clearly. And the truth is, if we don't communicate clearly, then messages can be missed and a lot of unintended harm or hurt can come from that. And when we're communicating, when we're speaking, that's just a small percentage of the actual communication. Your body language, your volume, your tone, all of those things bundled together are communication signals, right? And so if a child enters an environment and they feel that somebody else in there is scared, their natural instinct is to be scared. You would hope that in an office like that, someone is tuned into the fact that this child is crying. We have another kid on the schedule. Let's do some damage control, because sometimes you really can't control a child crying. But if you know that another child is coming in, somebody may be that child whisperer, like I was sharing in my office, to go in and say, you know, just appeal to that child before they come in so that whatever emotional, whatever is rising in them emotionally can be tempered. the other thing is how we speak to each other as colleagues can make a big difference.
Yep.
You know, and we have to recognize that as we evaluating ourselves and as we're evaluating each other, we have to ensure that at the end of the day, if something didn't go right, that we thrash it out and figure out how to do it better the next time. Sometimes in the middle of the stress, you're not even aware that your voice is elevated or your body language is saying something other than what you intended it to say. But if you have a cohesive team, somebody can come in and say, you know, as long as the team is working together, even if you don't get it right every day, if part of your culture is to support each other, is to help each other to stay on the grow, you can self-correct, you can auto-correct, you can hold your teammates accountable and continue to have discussions so that things can be improved. If it's a wide open office, a lot of offices like orthodontist office, there are no walls.
Right.
And so you have to also take into consideration patient confidentiality.
Yep.
I can't be talking loud about John Stamper's halitosis and somebody next door has to swing their head around. And
Yep.
so there's so many layers to communication in the dental office that as we stay on the grow, as we continue to educate ourselves, maybe that's something that the team may realize, you know, we're not so good at this. Let's see how we can hunker down and get some more knowledge as to how to handle these situations, or create a guidebook as how we're going to handle these particular situations in our office. And, you know, a lot of it sometimes is trial and error, John. If you tried it this way and it doesn't work, let's wheel and come again.
It's about awareness, right? When you really think about it, it's because you're always going to learn. There's going to be different circumstances. As you know, you spend more time in that practice sometimes than you do with your own family members. So there's a lot of that involved in it. So the awareness is crucial. I wish, and I think I might do this moving forward, if we could figure out a way to have like a little like ticker on the screen that every time you shared this really valuable nugget today, a little like mark would come up on the screen. I mean, I'm just thinking about this conversation and listening to you share your insight. I mean, you shared so many little nuggets that hopefully for everybody watching, you can use, you know, pick one or two of the things that Heather talked about today and apply that in your practice. And again, it's been an absolute pleasure, Heather, to have you. I love the fact that you are in this new stage of your career where you're giving back and educating people. And those of us at Front Office Rocks, we're really excited that you came on and joined us today. So thank you so much. Oh, John, it was my pleasure. Thank you so much. Next time we have to do this on my side of on my side of the globe. We'll be sipping margaritas by the seashore. How about that? Jamaica. Next summer's Front Office Rocks Vacation Business School, direct from Jamaica. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, well, thanks, Heather. Appreciate you.